Hello and welcome to another installment of Random Ramblings. Today I'm going to review the first episode of a TV series I'm quite fond of, known as Person of Interest. Airing from 2011 to 2016, created by Jonathan Nolan and with executive producer J.J. Abrams, among others, the series follows the exploits of former CIA operative John Reese as he works together with reclusive and mysterious billionaire Harold Finch in order to stop crimes before they occur, aided by the mysterious entity known as the Machine, created by Harold Finch. The series is notable for introducing concepts such as artificial intelligence, justifiable versus non-justifiable homicide, and the possibility of redemption through sacrifice and finding new friendships. The first episode, airing in 2011, shows the developing relationship between Harold Finch and his newest recruit, John Reese. The scene opens with a voiceover by John Reese saying, At the end of the world, if there's someone you care about and they are taken away, what do you become without that person? He's referring, of course, to his fiancée Jessica, of whom we see several flashbacks of in this episode, and whom is a key person in Reese's life, up until he leaves to do work for the CIA. The series begins with John Reese being attacked by thugs on the subway. He fights them off and is promptly arrested by police. There, he is interviewed by a detective, Carter, who, upon scanning his fingerprints via a plastic cup used when he is provided with water, to search his records, finding his records redacted. The only information she can glean is that he is former military and has several classified and blocked out files to his name. Following this brief interview, in which John cryptically says, the only time people want to know their name these days is when they're in trouble, and asks her if he is in trouble. She attempts to convince him to open up by telling him, that everyone has a story. Some people have done bad things and want to redeem themselves, while others have done terrible things, and they have been so consumed by doing terrible things that since this is all they know, they feel that there is no way out for them. She asks which one Reese is. He refuses to answer, so she leaves to check his records. As previously stated, they are blacked out. He is subsequently released and bailed out by a mysterious man with a limp. Accompanied by security, Reese is delivered to this man in a park. The man introduces himself as Mr. Finch. He explains that he knows who John is, while reassuring him that no one will know about his past. He tells John about a mysterious machine by explaining that there is a list called the Irrelevant List, and that people who are involved in violent crimes can be saved with the machine's assistance. He explains that a woman standing at a coffee shop nearby, named Diane Hansen, is the next person on this irrelevant list, while not disclosing the existence of the machine at this point to Reese. He explains that in 24 to 48 hours, Diane Hansen will either be a victim or a perpetrator, and asks for Reese's help. Reese, suspicious at this point, tells Finch that he is not interested and attempts to leave, upon being accosted by one of the security guards, whom Reese promptly beats up. Reese then goes to stay in a seedy hotel room and shaves, having grown a substantial beard and mustache at this point. He is listed on a news report as being attacked on the subway and then having beaten up his assailants previously. Reese wakes up in a nice hotel room and tied to the bed by his hands. Not realizing how he got there and confused, he suddenly hears screaming from the next room. He promptly breaks free from his bonds and rushes into the next room, only to find that it is a recording of a woman being murdered and Finch standing in the room. Finch explains that John couldn't have saved that woman, as she had died several years previously, having been murdered by her husband for the insurance money. He explains that his work, meaning Finch's, is to stop bad things from happening to ordinary people, and that the key component in saving these people was time. He brings up Jessica, which infuriates Reese, who promptly attacks him and pins him against the wall, demanding to know how he would know such information. Finch simply states that it's the truth, and that Reese had left the government because they'd lied to him, but assures him that he will never lie to Reese. He offers him once again to join him, and Finch finally accepts. Reese finally accepts. At first, Reese needs to assemble equipment for the task. Being a former Special Forces and CIA operative, he goes to the very people who beat him up on the subway, one of whom is Anton. He greets the people very politely and asks if they've taken a safety course, to which everyone points their guns at him. Reese points out all the various ways in which they're aiming their guns at him incorrectly and advises them on the safe procedures, all the while humorously beating them up. He leaves Anton standing there, takes the weapons, and leaves. During this time, Diane Hansen is in court defending a client who is accused of murder. Following this court procedure, we're introduced to a corrupt New York City cop who had previously been on the stand, being interviewed by Diane Hansen. His name is Lionel Fosco. We are also introduced to a corrupt police organization known as HR, whom Fosco is a member of at this point. Upon tracking Diane Hansen down and learning various information about her via tapping her phone in order to track her GPS location, Reese learns that she was once in a relationship with a man named Wheeler, who works with her at her lawyer's office. She goes to interview a man named Pope, who has information on the shooting that he's being convicted of. He argues with her and promptly attacks her, prompting her to call in security and then leave the prison. Later, it is revealed that he is murdered, and that the people behind the murder, most likely HR, are now after his brother, Michael Pope. Remembering Pope's warning that the people who were in on the shooting are protected from on high, Finch proceeds to look into the matter, while Reese continues to follow Hansen. Hansen later goes to a meeting place late at night. Reese, following close behind, is surprised to learn that it was Diane who arranged for Pope's murder, and that she is not in fact the victim, but the perpetrator. Reese is promptly captured by Fosco and ordered to execute him. Reese is knocked out and awakens in the back of Fosco's car. He asks Lionel if Lionel knew if there was a point where he'd become a bad guy. Lionel flippantly says that it doesn't matter, that the people he worked for, the police force, earned far much money than him, whom didn't deserve it, so he decided to take a bit off the top for himself. Reese disagrees, saying that he believes that Fosco does this out of loyalty, but his heart isn't really in what he's doing. He then advises Fosco that if he's going to secure someone, he has to do it properly, and promptly detonates a flashbang grenade inside the car, flipping it over and rendering Lionel semi-unconscious. He drags Fosco from the car, ensures that he has a vest on, and promptly shoots him and reclaims his weapons and makes his escape. Following this, meanwhile, it is revealed that Wheeler is the target of HR, who have promptly captured an ex-con of Wheeler's and are ordering him to kill him and his son in order to show that there are no witnesses to Pope's murder and clear Diane Hansen of any suspicion, as at this point it is seen that she is just the lawyer in this situation and completely innocent of any wrongdoing. However, Reese intercepts the meeting, attacks the accusers, and saves Wheeler and his son. It should be noted that Reese doesn't kill any of these people. He merely shoots them in the kneecaps, running to them, disabling them, but not killing them, as he does not like killing, although he states to Fosco that he is very good at it. Later that day, or the next day, Reese anonymously plays a recording of Diane confessing to the murder of Pope live in court, and she is promptly arrested. While Reese, having killed Stills, the head cop of HR, frames Lionel for the murder, thus ensuring his assistance in any future cases. Meanwhile, HR and their top personnel are promptly ratted out, all except Fosco, who are arrested, leaving Lionel in the clear but indebted to Reese, who is reluctant to help but has little choice at this point, seeing as he could be framed for Stills' murder, as Reese used Fosco's gun. Later, Reese meets with Finch at the park and agrees to work for him. Meanwhile, during this time, Reese, in attempting to learn more about Finch, is assured that Finch is a very private person, although Finch recognizes that Reese will be attempting to fill that gap as soon as possible. He says that he will not tell anyone about John if he chooses to leave. John refuses to leave, and she accepts the position Finch has offered him. As Finch states earlier in the episode, he now has a purpose. More specifically, he has a job. Well, I hope you enjoyed that first review of Person of Interest pilot episode. I hope to do more episodes like this in the future, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Like if you like this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. I am Daniel with Random Ramblings, signing off.